Completed the first half of chapter 3. Unlike chapter 2, I'm not going to wait to do all of chapter 3, even though these two videos are going to be probably as long as the chapter 2 video. It just didn't work out that way. Whereas in chapter 2, the pace was very fast and a lot of the problems are really easy, some of the problems here are deceptive. They're a little hard. Just in my case, that just happens to me. Then when it comes to time of posting, some of you may use this information, some of you may not care. For the ones who do, I'm going to continue filming before, a couple of weeks before I put out a video, because I want to make sure I start putting out a video every week. It used to be that I would just put out everything I had, and so there would be a week where there would be no video, and then a week where there would be 4 videos. So I'm going to standardize that. And so I'm going to get a couple of weeks ahead for the summer, but I may actually continue it and get to the point where I'm a month, hopefully several months ahead. And that way I can actually do some more analysis also, and be able to put out a little bit of analysis at some point later in the year, which I plan to, and then complete all of linear algebra. So this video, for instance, is being filmed on the Juneteenth holiday in the US on a Wednesday, June 19. Great day to celebrate. And great thing to celebrate, the end of slavery in the US, of course. And you can't beat that it fell on a Wednesday. Perfect. So this video will go out on July 3. And I did 90 problems for the first half of chapter 3, 3 sections. And I'm up to 519 problems. But of course, many of these problems are extremely easy. And so that high count is not something that I would tell someone in an impressive sort of way. It's just, it is what it is. So let's go to the book. And of course, after this, it's great that it's a holiday, so I can continue and do a lot of work while I do some family time things as well. After this, I'm going to continue, finish, read section 3.4 and complete over the rest of the week and later chapter 3. So chapter 3 is setting up vector spaces in an engineering sort of way, in a geometry high school sort of way. So the way this book is set up, the way a typical engineering linear algebra book is set up, and I'll go to the table of contents to show this, is there are some preliminary chapters that are really, I would call them high school math, mostly. And then you get started with general vector spaces in chapter 4. Your typical theory book like FIS, I forget what FIS stands for, or Axler, or Halmas, any of the theory linear algebra books that are tough for math majors begin at general vector spaces, and of course assume a full course of linear algebra before you get there, which is the reason why I'm doing this book, and then I plan to do one of the theory books. So yeah. We're going through chapter 3, finishing vector spaces, and then when I start chapter 4, that's when I really can map one-to-one, almost one-to-one, to a theory book like Axler or Halmas or FIS. And one of the videos I'll show FIS. I always forget what the F and the I and the S stand for, but it's, I think, the best book for theory, for a theoretical linear algebra course. So yeah, just good old vectors. Finding the size of the vector or norm, then the ways vectors work, using some matrices also for vectors, very few. Then of course, yeah, the norm, the dot product, and the distance, and R to the n. Finding the distance between a point and a line, a point and a plane, orthogonality. Projections, I'm getting ahead of myself, that's later. Projections of vectors. Then yeah, distance between a point and a line, point and a plane, and then 2 parallel planes. And for 2 parallel planes, you just take one of the planes, you find a point on it, and then you use the distance between a point and a plane equation. So it's sort of the same thing. Very well laid out. I usually have not liked these problems just because they remind me of how long ago I took geometry, and so I have to always look it all up. All right, so that's the book. Enough talking about that. And then I've already started a second notebook. I already, of course, completed the first one. It didn't help. It did help that it was a lot of matrix work, which is super, super bulky. This is not bulky work. This is actually highly concise. The reading, then followed by problems, very simple problems for vectors. A few matrices, all worked out fine. Some true and false. The true and false sometimes they trick me, and I think I'm answering it correctly, and I'm not. So that's why I do them. They keep me humble. Then some more reading, section 3.2. Sample. And then, of course, working out various norms. Forgot a plus or minus there. And I screwed up a simple trigonometry problem. Even though I wrote it here, I somehow convinced myself that cosine of pi over 6 is 1/2 when it's really radical 3 over 2. It's right here. It's right there. Man, so silly. Just so silly. Trying to go fast on simple problems, and often I get them wrong. Yeah, and that's what happened with the true and false. Then some more reading, orthogonality, distances between points and lines, points and planes, and then working out problems which were very straightforward. Except I had a little arithmetic problem, error in this problem. And yes, there could have been another. There was more than one solution. I only gave one. And yes, instead of using Pythagoras theorem, I should have dotted the product of two of the sides to get 0. And I should have used a specific theorem, even though I believe this proof is correct. I did not use a theorem. And yes, I got confused on a couple of the true and false. So that is the first half of chapter 3.